Hello everyone, my name's Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon video. Today is going to be a gameplay video showing off the new automated client that was made by Huang Zero and Company. So I decided to take this opportunity to practice a little bit of BT15 armors because I'm excited for the BT16 version of the deck. So I am going to be facing off against two Loogamon players. These were back-to-back. Unfortunately, the automated client is only best of ones. So I do have to exit out and reload back in every single time. But I decided to keep this hand because it's actually a pretty aggressive hand, having two Ukamons and a Vmon to try to help dig for more cards. So I'm just going to be doing that 1-2 classic play to set up my Ukamon so I could have more memory to work next turn, and then use the searcher to try to find parts and pieces that I need, and I did end up finding a Vmon and a Davis. So I'm already pretty set up to be super aggressive. So the Loogamon player is just going to do a classic start on hatching their egg and digivolving into a Loogamon. So from here, they're going to set up a wisdom training to try to find their parts and pieces. So you can see that the client does show what cards are being revealed, what's being added to hand, and what's being going to the bottom of the deck. So they're adding the Loogamon to hand and sending the soul to the bottom, and then they're just going to put me at 2 and set up an AG. So the AG setup already is pretty dangerous just because he could start passively gaining lots of extra memory. So I'm just going to take this time to be as aggressive as I possibly can before he can even start going. So I raised out my Ukamon, hatched, got that extra memory, set up another Ukamon, and now I'm going in as hard as I can. I'm debating here whether if I should have just evolved into the Magna or I should just swing, and I just elected to just swing just to deal the damage because I'm just going to be playing the Davis, play out a Vmon from the Davis, and then because this is the promo Vmon, it does reduce the Digivolution cost by 1, so it's a little bit more memory efficient to be doing this type of a play versus just digivolving into the Vmon. There was a pro for digivolving into the Vmon I already had because the Magna could have just spat it out and I could have dug, but I decided to just be more aggressive with what I had. So he's going to move out, gain the memory off of the AG, and then now he's just deciding what he wants to do. I think raising here is a little bit dangerous because he's not exactly set up. So I don't exactly know what he's trying to accomplish by raising here. But because he's raising, he's opening himself up for more punishment depending on what he actually plays. So he decides to hard play a Fangmon to be able to use its ability to grab the Fen into hand, and then he's going to be discarding a card to try to set up his trash. So he's discarding another Loogamon because he might already have one in hand. So this is the part where I'm just deciding what I want to do and how aggressive I want to be. So Ukamon's going to gain me a memory, Davis is going to be a memory, so even though he choked me to 1, I still go to 3 memory anyway to be able to make a lot of plays possible. And here with the cards in my hand, I do have lots of different options. So let's start off by resetting that Ukamon, and I'm deciding if I want to be hyper aggressive or if I want to try to control the field a little bit. So I'm electing to just try to be hyper aggressive because I do have the Ukamon with the jamming egg underneath, but I want to try to swing with my Magna to see what happens with my Magna, get that extra card draw, and kind of play it by ear. So my Magna ends up living because it checked an analog. He's going to add the Loogamon and discard 2 options, which is not exactly what you want to be discarding, but he doesn't really have much of a choice. So I'm still at 3. I dealt the damage. I have lots of different opportunities. I'm just going to swing with the Ukamon, see what more opportunities bring and how the rest of the plays develop. So I end up hitting a Rivals Barrage, which does end up deleting my Magnamon, but my Magnamon's going to draw me a card, and then from here I could have chose to play the Vmon from his source, but I actually want to try to dig, so I'm going to play the Vmon that searches, so that way I could try to find more parts and pieces to, you know, continue what I'm trying to do. So I did end up finding the good level 4, or like the best armor for my position, which is going to be the starter deck one, just because the starter deck one, when I digivolve up into it, I get a source strip and bounce anything that doesn't have a source. So right now, both of his Digimon don't have sources. So we're going to take away the egg, which really ruins a lot of his possible playlines in the future if I decided to leave that level 3 out. And I'm obviously going to get rid of the Fang because, you know, it's a level 4. Might as well get as much value as possible. So I have a couple of different other options here. I'm debating between hard playing the Zudo Ace and digivolving into the Magna X. I decided, well, it doesn't really matter how much memory I'm going to be giving him. He doesn't really have anything on field that's really going to be threatening me, so I might as well just clear the field, and with him having 1 security and me having potentially 4, maybe more bodies or attacks to work with, it really doesn't make it easy for him to win no matter how much memory I actually put him at. So now he's going to try to figure out what kind of defensive lines of play that he could possibly make. So he's just going to start off by hatching, digivolving into Loogamon, hard playing a Loogamon, which isn't the best thing, but he's going to be using the AG to shove underneath, so that way he could try to have a blocker. So now that his Loogamon has blocker, he has some form of defense, even though, again, mathematically, it's not necessarily the best defense. So he's going to be popping his wisdom training to digivolve into that Fang that we already knew he had. The Fang doesn't get any abilities, and the fact that it doesn't have any inheritable abilities really isn't helping him in this situation. He's just using it as a climbing tool, so he is going to end up going into the Soul. The Soul, because of the Loogamon, will get him the memory back, so he is able to maintain turn. So he's just going to be reviving the Loogamon, getting back to 0, and now he has a Loogamon and a blocker on the field, and I'm still in a winning position. So he just decided to quit and give up. So going into game 2 against a completely different opponent, I decided to hard mulligan that hand immediately because it was not a very good hand, and this is a lot better of a hand. So I'm going to start off by digivolving into the promo because the promo is really good to try to set up some good clean evolutions. I'm going to hard play the Davis because the faster I set up the Davis, the more I can actually do, because I won't necessarily be hardcore memory choked. I'm going to play the Vmon, that's going to be digging for cards. Unfortunately, I don't hit any free Digimon, but I still hit a Davis, which is really nice, so I could use that to try to basically do this whole combo line again, where I'm just going to be hard playing Davis to hard play a Vmon to just continue the aggression, because if I'm going to be playing a Vmon for 3 anyway, then it just doesn't matter. So he's just going to do some classic early game setup, which is just have a rookie in raising and try to play his options in tamers, so he could try to set his trash up and put his hand in the best position that he can. But because this deck is a early aggressive deck, this is the opportunity where I just want to try to swarm, flood, and hit as hard and fast as I possibly can. So I do have my tamer set up also, so my Wanyamon is online. So I get to move out. Davis is going to gain me that 1 extra memory, and now I can kind of just decide what I want to do from here. So I am going to be playing this a little bit more passive because I do want to try to get some good value off of my cards. So that's why I'm like debating if I want to swing or not. So I do know because of the promo, I get a cleaner evolution. I won't be able to pass turn, but what else am I actually doing? So I decided instead, I'm just going to attack and get the card draw, see what I draw into, and then kind of evaluate what I want. So I did end up drawing the BT15 Magnamon, which is really good because underneath the Searcher, if he were to die, then I just get to replay the Searcher and have more consistency. So it is also a blocker on a Digimon that can't really attack or I didn't want to attack with, so he's deciding to attack. So he is going to be utilizing the ability to do a Hell play, which isn't necessarily bad for him, but it's not great for him either because of my current field setup. So I could choose to block. I'm obviously not going to block because then the Hell will just delete my Digimon after I basically armor purged. So instead, I'm just going to eat the damage, and the Hell is still going to take my Digimon away, but you'll see that I still get to have that hyper consistency because my Digimon is going to leave the field, so I do get the draw off of his ability, and then I get to play the Searcher that's underneath him. So right now, he's still just trying to set up his trash in the best state, and now I get to protect my board because I decided to Digivolve my Searcher into a BT13 Magnamon. So now I get to search again, I get to choose which Vmon I want, and, well, there's not really much of a choice, so I'm just going to elect probably another Searcher, because I, again, just want more consistency. I don't necessarily feel like the other one is going to be super useful because I'm going to be hiding an Ukamon in my raising area. So that's why I decided to not take the promo, is because I already have a card that's really good in my raising area. So you kind of have to evaluate which Vmons are good for your raising area and which Vmons are good to, hard play. So drawing the Louis is actually huge here because I'm evaluating my hand, and it might not seem like it's that great, but it's actually pretty aggressive because I have lots of really good tamer value. So I'm debating between playing the Davis to just end the turn on 1, but I decided, hey, I could do a little bit more. So I'm going to play the Louis, so the Louis can move out the Ukamon that I just raised, and then I get a gain 2 memory, one from the Ukamon and then hatch a new egg, and then the other from the Louis, which means now that my Louis on the field and set up, I could be even more aggressive with how much memory I'm gaining, so I could evaluate what I actually want to try to do. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I have an Ukamon, I have a Vmon. What do I want to do? I'm just going to start swinging and being aggressive with the cards, get the free card draw. I don't care if the Ukamon dies because I already have one in raising, so no matter what, I'm going to be gaining 3 memory. So to pass the turn, instead of hard playing a Vmon, I'm just going to play Davis, which is going to set up a Vmon for free anyway. I'm debating between the Searcher and the Jamming, and based on my hand, I decided I wanted to go with the Jamming just to try to be more threatening because I do have the BT8 Magna. So if my Jammer was actually able to swing, then I could just Digivolve into the BT8 Magna, get that free unsuspend, and basically get another free attack in. So he is in a really bad position knowing that I could have that potential playline. So he's just going to hard play the Hell just to be able to delete one of my Digimon. Sure, it puts me at a lot of memory, but it potentially saved him from lethal from this position because of my jamming Vmon and BT8 Magnamon being hyper aggressive. So he's just going to be setting up his trash, digging for more cards, and I'm just going to go absolutely ballistic this turn because, I just already have a lot of memory, and the deck doesn't really play anything that needs a whole lot of memory. So giving this deck a lot of memory means that I just obviously have more play lines available to what I want to do. So having the Searcher in hand is really good because if I wanted to, I could hard play it, I could Digivolve it in raising, I could use Davis to play the Searcher anyway. So there's a lot that I have opportunity to do. I could Digivolve into any of my Magnas, or my one Magna. So I'm just going to elect to play the Davis to try to play the Vmon so I could just put more things on the field. So I did see an Ukamon, and the reason why I decided to take an Ukamon is because I don't have another rookie in my hand, so that way I can set one up. And I'm already hyper aggressive with what I have on the field, so I'm just going to swing, see if I hit anything. And unfortunately, my Vmon does end up getting the bin. So the idea was if it was going to live off of like an option hit, then I could have just Digivolved into Magna and get that free extra swing and try to win that way. So now I have more Magnas to think about utilizing, and I'm just going to be Digivolving into the BT8 8 anyway, just for the DP boost, because there's no real reason not to digivolve into it, because I want to save the other one, the starter deck one, for when there's something on the field. So instead, I'm just going to choke him and to put him to 1 memory while having a 13k Magna X on the field. So now he's going to raise out, and he's in a position where he kind of is forced to raise out and try to do something. He doesn't really have a whole lot of memory to do anything with, so he's going to at least be at 2 because of his Loogamon putting an AG underneath. He's going to digivolve into a Loogamon, and this is the one that can give him some extra DP. Again, it kind of doesn't matter because I DP boosted my Magna X. So as long as he's unable to go into a Fenry, I'm pretty safe on just being able to stop and block anything. And even if he does another Hell play, it just means my Magna X is going to go into security, and I still have the body on the field. So at this point, he's just going to go into a Hell. Hell is going to, or he's going to go into a Soul. Soul is going to play out a Tyranno, so that way he could try to have as many blockers on the field to try to stop my incoming aggression. So little does he know, I actually have a lot of decent removal, and because I can gain a lot of memory, I have lots of ways of playing said removal. So he's just going to be triggering all of the effects off of his cards. He's going to grab a card out of the selected 4 with the Tyrannomon, and the rest go to the bottom. And he's going to leave me at 2 memory, which might not seem like a lot, but he probably didn't have any other better plays to try to maintain his memory. So now he's going to have to discard a card off of the Tyrannomon's ability, and he discarded a Tyrannomon. So now I'm going to raise out my Ukamon. I'm going to gain a memory off of Ukamon, hatch a new egg, gain a memory off of Louis for seeing Ukamon be moved out, gain another memory, and then I gain 3 more memory because of my Davises. So me being at 2 means that I'm actually JK at 7 memory, and that's a lot to work with because a lot of my Digimon are pretty cheap. So I'm going to evolve into a Digimon in the back just because, and I have lots of different playlines available to me, so I'm just going to hard play the Zudo Ace to try to strip the blocker and bounce the other blocker, so it really puts him in a bad position, and I'm taking the Baumon because of the fact that he could try to make any cute plays. And if you're curious about the build that was used, this is the deck that I was playing with for all of the games.